Hey guys, this is Dino here, and today I'll be adding the next part to the What If Naruto was in Pokemon series. Before we begin this part, I would like to thank everyone who subscribed to the channel. We are currently at 400 subscribers, which is absolutely awesome. If you guys want to give any proper suggestions regarding the story, please feel free to join the Discord. And I just have one thing to clear up before I begin the story. A lot of the comments regarding the what if Ash was born in the Dragon Clan situation have been reverted back to the original queries, which are Ash should have started with a dragon type and this and that. Why doesn't he have enough dragon types? Like, guys, you do know that every dragon master in the series, in the Pokemon series, whether it be Iris, Lance, Drake of the Hoenn League, everyone, no one has a full dragon type team. You guys know that, right? And currently in Ash's team there is Latias, there is Gibble, and there is Trico, which, spoiler alert, close your ears for the next 5 seconds, which is going to evolve into Mega Sceptile as was decided in the Discord poll. And this story is not nearly over. I'm talking about the Dragon Class story. That is not nearly over right now. There are so many more Pokemon he will catch. So like calm down your horses regarding the dragon type situation, because again, I don't like to rant about this stuff, but this is just getting annoying at this point. So like I said before, uh, I will not be making a full dragon type team. If you want that overly enthusiastic, just flooding the thumbnails with popular Pokemon to get views, I don't do that. I prefer quality over views. So that's it. If you want a full team with just the popular Pokemons, then that story is not for you, and neither is this one. So stay tuned if you want. I promise you I will give you a good story. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the video. Here's a short recap from the last episode. Naruto caught a Tauros, he met Sakura, won a Sunstone in the Pokemon race, defeated Ramos to win the plant badge, and then Sakura returned to Galar. Now we continue the story. The next stop for Naruto was back at Lumiose City, but to get there, he had to cross Route 13, also known as Lumiose Badlands. Most trainers prefer to trace all the way back rather than take this route, but Naruto took this as a challenge and set out on his journey. After walking for a few minutes, he spotted a trainer with a Scrafty. By his outfit, Naruto realized that he was from a ninja village. He ran up to the trainer and greeted him. The trainer introduced himself as Shikamaru Nara of the Nara clan in the Galar region. After hearing Naruto's name, he says that his friend Choji had told him about Naruto. Naruto said that he was the second trainer in a row that he met was from Galar region. Shikamaru tells him that this is probably because of the Akatsuki being in charge of the Pokemon League, and because of this most trainers prefer to begin their journey in the other regions, him being one of them. He says that he liked Kalos at first, but this whole thing is turning into a drag. As they were walking, a small Pokemon came up to them and started jumping as if to get their attention. Naruto identified this as Helioptile and asked it what was wrong. The electric type started to pull Naruto towards a direction, as if asking it to follow it and come along. Before Shikamaru could refuse, Naruto grabbed his hand and ran after the Helioptile. After running for a few minutes, they reached a structure which Shikamaru said was the power plant of the Kalos region. Naruto turned serious, saying that a large number of Team Flare grunts are here. So there's something definitely fishy going on. Shikamaru says that they should leave, but Naruto refuses, saying that he's not going to let Team Flare get away with hurting more Pokemon. Shikamaru somewhat gets what he's trying to say, so he decides to help. He can somewhat relate because of the situation of the Akatsuki in his hometown. The first thing Shikamaru does is prevent Naruto from charging straight in and getting caught. He tells him that they need a big distraction so they could get into the power plant without spending much of their Pokemon on the security grunts. Naruto sends out his Tauros and asks Shikamaru if this is big enough. Shikamaru smiles and tells it's more than enough. Shikamaru then tells Toros to charge in front of the power plant to create as much dust and noise as possible. This is something that Toros absolutely loves to do, and it immediately starts to stomp around and charge around the area, creating a huge cloud of dust in front of Team Flare, obstructing their line of sight. And this distraction is enough for Shikamaru and Naruto to sneak into the power plant. Inside the plant, Gazini tells Kabuto that there is a Tauros stamping outside the plant, and he suspects that this is only a distraction and someone is trying to sneak in. The logic behind his thinking is that there are no Tauros in Badlands. Kabuto tells him to alert the force and gather up any suspicious intruders. He cannot afford to fail in this mission or Lord Orochimaru will have his head. Thanks to the help from Helioptile, who knows the ins and outs of the power plant, the two trainers are able to avoid security, but they eventually run into a couple of grunts as they reach the inner levels. Naoto sends out his starter, Frogadier, now fully healed up, and Shikamaru sends in Drizzle, his own starter. It completely mirrors the personality of its trainer, lazy but sharp at the same time. The both water starters take out Magmar and Hitmore with a double water pulse, giving them further access into the power plant. Then Ghazni arrives. He tells Naruto that he has a score to settle with him. He sends out his Magmotor, but Shikamaru stops Naruto from battling it. He tells Naruto to go on ahead, saying that he will take care of this, and he should stop the Team Flare's actions as soon as possible. Drizzle comes out to battle Magmotor as Naruto charges on ahead. He reaches the core of the power plant and sees something which absolutely disgusts him to his core. A large number of electric Pokemon were being forcefully used to run a huge drill which was outside. It seems like Team Flare was digging deep into the lands to dig something out. He sends out his Ivysaur to break as many of them free as possible. Then he's interrupted by Kabuto. He reminds Naruto that he warned him the next time they meet each other, Naruto will be paying dearly, and he is here to deliver on that promise. He sends out his Duelus against Ivysaur. Now Naruto is shocked to see that Kabuto possesses such a powerful Pokemon. The two second stage Pokemon start off with Dragon Pulse and an Energy Wall respectively, which prove to be even in power, cancelling each other out. Zuelas proves to be much faster, however, and connects with a Dark Pulse right after, causing Ivysaur to flinch. It's a back and forth battle with both Pokemon having moments, but Zuelas seems to have the edge nonetheless. It's eventually able to defeat Ivysaur with a Draco Meteor. Naruto sends in Krogunk next, and although it tries its best, it's no match for the Dragon type, and is badly damaged by a Dragon Pulse. Before Zuelas could do some more damage, Scrafty comes dashing in with a Drain Punch, sending Zuelas crashing back. Just then Kabuto receives a message from a grunt, saying that the project is successful and they have found it. Kabuto laughs maniacally and orders Zuelas to unleash a Draco Meteor in the entire area. Zuelas fires the super powerful Dragon type attack which decimates the entire power plant and ignites a huge fire. Kabuto bids them farewell and a happy burning, before using an emergency door to escape and closing it behind him, thus trapping the two trainers in the building. Shikamaru tries to come up with a game plan, but is surprised when he sees Naruto laughing. Naruto tells him that the Kabuto guy is an idiot, as they could just extinguish the fire. He sends out his Frogadier and orders a water pulse. Shikamaru, however, yells and stops them. He calls Naruto an even bigger idiot than Kabuto, saying that this fire is caused by electricity, and using water on it will cause it to short circuit and crisp everything inside the power plant, including them. He sends out his Mudbray and orders it to use Mud Slap to stop the flames. Shikamaru tells Frogadier and the rest of the Pokemon to help evacuate the trapped electric types and throw sand from outside. Thankfully, Tauros arrives, and with its help, they are able to put out most of the flames. Helioptile seems hesitant to leave its home, but Naruto convinces it to leave, but it will get hurt. Shikamaru tells Naruto that Choji was right about him. He has a good heart. Just then, a huge burning debris comes crashing down towards them. Krogan and Scrafty jump in front of the trainers to stop it, but the weight of the scrap is too much for the two fighting types to stop it from falling. Realizing that it needs more strength than this, Krogan is able to trigger its evolution and evolve into Toxicroak. And now Toxicroak is able to compensate for the lack of strength, and both it and Scrafty are able to break through the falling debris using a drain punch. Kabuto meanwhile has successfully extracted the thing that they were mining for. He was just preparing to leave, thinking the two trainers were taken care of. He was absolutely furious when he saw them emerge from the rubble. Toxicroak is able to defeat Zweilous now and force Kabuto to retreat. Before Kabuto can escape, Helioptile paralyzes him using a Thunder Wave attack. He drops the incubator he was carrying but manages to escape using a smoke bomb. Naruto is able to get the incubator. He tells Shikamaru that he will take it to Professor Sycamore in Lumio City, and Shikamaru tells him that this will be a good idea. He tells Naruto to be careful with that thing because Team Flare seems to consider it really important. Naruto invites Shikamaru to come to Lumio City and challenge the gym together. However, Shikamaru declines, saying that he will stay in the Badlands for a little longer to train. That place is a drag and all, but it's ideal for toughening up. So the two trainers bid farewell to each other, promising to battle each other in the Kalos League. After a while, Naruto looks back to see the Helioptile following him. He looks down and asks the electric type if it wants to join his team. Helioptile agrees and Naruto adds it to his team, bringing it to a full 6. He then arrives in Lumio City and takes a deep breath, happy to be back. He rests up at the Pokemon Center that day. The next morning, Naruto visits Professor Sycamore, who tells him that he is proud of for everything Naruto has achieved so far, and has improved leaps and bounds from the last time they met. Naruto then shows him the incubator, and Professor Sycamore's expression turns from joy to sheer excitement. He tells Naruto that these are Zygrade cells, the cells of the legendary Pokemon Zygrade. He thanks Naruto and then makes a call to a certain someone. This certain someone is Lysander. He's in one of the hideouts and he currently as he receives the call. He is overjoyed to hear the news and tells Professor Sycamore that he will be heading there first thing tomorrow. Lysander then enters into another room where he sees Orochimaru with his Arbok, which has its tail wrapped around Kabuto's neck, slowly squeezing the life out of him. Lysander tells Orochimaru to stop and that the Zygrade cells have reached their correct destination. Arbok lets go of Kabuto's neck as he falls down coughing. Orochimaru tells him that well, it looks like you'll live another day. Lysander tells Orochimaru that he will head to Lumio City tomorrow with the Zygrade code. And after Professor Sycamore does his work, that's when his grunts will sneak in and steal the Zygrade. Orochimaru tells him that there is no need for grunts this time, as he will handle this by himself. He's tired of the failures. Meanwhile, Naruto arrives at the Lumio City gym and challenges the gym leader Clemont. Clement tells him that this will be a 3-on-3 battle which will be broadcasted all over the Kalos region. Naruto gets excited as he hopes that his parents and friends will be watching this. Naruto starts off with Frogadier and Clement sends out his Heliolisk. Naruto identifies this as the evolution of Helioptile. The two fast Pokemon circle each other, trying to land physical attacks, just to feel each other out. Then Heliolisk lands the first big move. It starts off with a Thunderbolt, but Frogadier evades it by creating a clone and hitting a water pulse straight in on its chest. But surprisingly, it gets absorbed. Clement tells Naruto that this is the Dry Skin ability, which allows the Pokemon to heal when hit by a water type move. Naruto recalls Frogadier and sends out his Ivysaur. Helioptile is unfazed by the type disadvantage and moves in to connect with a flurry of attacks, which proves to be much faster than the grass type could handle. A powerful Hyper Voice connects on Ivysaur, causing a lot of damage, but it's able to eat it up, proving its toughness. It connects with a Sludge Bomb which stuns Heliolisk, bringing it to its knees. It's a competitive battle, but Heliolisk's speed advantage is taking taking over slowly but surely. Naruto orders Ivysaur to use Vine Whip to hold Heliolisk in its place, to nullify the speed advantage, but this proves to be exactly what Clement wanted. He orders Heliolisk to use a Thunderbolt, and the Thunderbolt is channeled through the vine straight into Ivysaur, causing it major damage. He follows it up with a parabolic charge which saps up the rest of Ivysaur's energy, taking it out. Toxicroak is out next for Naruto and is able to keep up with Heliolisk's speed, better than Ivysaur did. They trade back and forth attacks and Toxicroak is able to land some big hits with a Drain Punch. Once again Heliolisk goes for Hyper Burst but Naruto tells Toxicroak to charge through it, and it does. And although it takes some damage, it's able to get in close on Heliolisk and land with a huge Drain Punch, which knocks Heliolisk out and nullifies the damage the Toxicroak received. Magneton is out next for Clement and Naruto gets a bit carried away under the pressure of the broadcast. He tells Toxicroak to charge in with a Drain Punch, without any setup. This allows Magneton to connect with a Supersonic, confusing the Poison type. Magneton is able to get a free hit with a Thunderbolt, causing decent damage on Toxicroak. Naruto desperately orders for a Drain Punch, but in its confusion, Toxicroak uses a Poison Jab which has no hit damage on Magneton, as Magneton is a Steel type. Magneton then hits it with a Flash Cannon which almost takes it out. Fortunately, Toxicroak is able to snap out of the confusion and connect with a huge Drain Punch, which takes Magneton out and restores a decent amount of Toxicroak's HP. Naruto lets out a sigh of relief, but Clement tells him that this is no time to relax. He sends out his last Pokemon, Rotom, which zooms in and out in a high speed. Toxicroak tries a Poison Jab, but Rotom is able to avoid it and connect with a Will-O-Wisp, which cuts down the Poison type's attack in half. Despite this, Toxicroak is able to connect with a Poison Jab, but it does not do near the amount of damage which Naruto had hoped for. Rotom follows it up with the Hex attack, which deals double the damage due to Toxicroak having a status problem. Naruto sends out his Frogadier as his last Pokemon. He knows that he can't use water type moves, as Rotom's electric attack will just channel through it. Frogadier creates two clones, and they engage Rotom in a physical battle, trying to overwhelm it by not letting it charge up and attack, and constantly keeping it occupied. This plan quickly fails as the fan on Rotom's head is able to generate enough charge, and a Thunderbolt takes the two clone out. With its clones gone, Frogadier is having a hard time trying to combat the airborne Rotom. The best it can do is avoid the Thunderbolts. Realizing that the aerial advantage is too much to combat, Naruto and Frogadier reveal their special technique. Frogadier uses a hidden power to summon a huge tornado as a hoverboard. It rides on the top of the tornado to not only keep up with Rotom in mid-air but also outmaneuver it and cause some major damage on it. Frogadier once again creates a couple of clones who leap off and start to use Cut Attack on Rotom, trying to keep it preoccupied, and the real Frogadier is able to connect with a Water Pulse. Now being pushed into a corner, Rotom goes all out and destroys the two clones with a powerful Thunderbolt attack. It then sends a spark at the bottom of the tornado, which channels itself upwards and hits the Frogadier, almost knocking it out. Frogadier, through sheer will, gets up and takes a fighting stance. Naruto tells him that this opponent is worthy for their new move. Frogadier nods at it as it begins to charge up some energy, much to Clement's confusion. It creates 4 clones, and just like the battle against Corina, the clones start to swarm on Rotom while the real Frogadier stays back. They all use hidden power to trap Rotom in a tornado cage. Clement orders a thunderbolt, but it just channels through the swirling wind in an endless loop. Clement tells Naruto that this loop will break apart soon enough. Naruto smirks and tells Clement that they are just getting started, as though all the clones use their remaining energy to fire water pulses at the loop, which also starts to spin with it. Although the clones disappear after using up their energies, Rotom is not trapped in the spinning water. Naruto calls this move the water prison technique. The real Frogadier meanwhile is charging up its wind-release water pulse in its hand. Clement orders Rotom to use whatever energy it has to fire a thunderbolt to break the prison. A huge spark blasts through the prison, but it somehow stays intact. However, at the same time, Fogadier's energy finally runs out, as it's unable to maintain the prison for long enough, and it falls apart. Finally, Rotom is now free, but Frogadier has finished charging up its wind-release water pulse, and it and Frogadier fires the attack. Clement calls for a thunderbolt as a counter, but sparks appears all around Rotom, as if the thunderbolt hit Rotom instead. Naruto thinks that this is the short circuit thing that Shikamaru was talking about in the power plant. The wind release water pulse hits Rotom square on, drilling into it. This is more than enough to knock it out, thus giving Naruto the victory. Clement awards the voltage badge to Naruto and tells him that he is the most innovative trainer he has ever faced while his tenure as a gym leader. This leaves Naruto with just 3 badges remaining before he can participate in the Kalos League. Back at Konoha, Minato smiles looking at the TV. He looks at the corner of the room and asks someone if Naruto is ready for his training now. The person is Jiraya, the mentor of Minato, and he smiles at looking at the TV by saying yes he is. And guys, that will bring an end to this part. Sorry if it was a bit too long, or sorry if my voice sounded weird. My voice is still recovering a bit by bit, but I did not want it to wait for too long as I had the script ready. So I hope you guys enjoyed this part. Make sure to drop any comments which are not related to Ash having a full dragon type team. Anyways, have fun guys. Take it easy and God bless.